Test 1, 2. That should work. What's up, you lovely people? Nick Friend here. I'm really glad to see you again. And this is actually part 2 of a video series that I started last week about editing and shooting on 100% mobile devices. Last week we shot everything on an iPhone. So this week I wanted to explore actually editing on a mobile device. And the mobile device in question is this lovely little thing. And it is the latest and greatest iPad Pro. Specifically, it is the 11-inch 2019 iPad Pro, and this is the one with the really great 120 hertz screen. This one in particular is 64 gigs storage. I didn't want to use the huge iPad Pro for 2 reasons. One, it's really expensive. 2, it's not as portable as this one is. And 3, this one is plenty powerful for what I was gonna try to do. So that brings me to what I'm doing. Well, I'm using Adobe Rush to edit a bunch of phone footage. That's basically what it is. All we're using is a phone and an iPad. That's it. So why don't we just go ahead and jump into the Adobe Rush platform, and I'll show you exactly how I did a front to back edit in a half hour. So basically, when you open up Rush, you want to start a new project and give Adobe access to the photos in your camera roll. But make sure that you actually have all of the content in the actual iPad, because this new iPad, as well as all the iPads beforehand, doesn't allow you to use an external hard drive, unlike some other devices that are on the market that would be utilizing the Adobe Rush platform. Because Rush is actually designed for a quicker edit, you actually start by selecting your footage in a preliminary timeline as you choose the clips that you want to use. Adobe then kind of sorts them as you touch them and makes a rough timeline for you. That's really cool because you can kind of start editing as you're selecting your clips, so it actually speeds up the whole flow of getting into the actual editing process. But in terms of actually using your clips, you can click a clip, it's gonna select it, you can long press it, it's gonna pop it out so you can move it around the timeline. You can also click it again and you'll get access to messing with the in and out points of each individual clip. And this is a magnetic timeline as well, so when you move one, the entire timeline around it is responsive. There's also a pinch to zoom function that allows you to get more precise edits inside of the timeline. And when you get to a point in a clip where you actually want to make a cut, you just leave the playhead where it is, click the scissor logo, and then it makes the cut. And then you can select either the clip before or the clip after, and you can delete it, or you can make it longer, or you can repeat it, you can duplicate it, all those different things. It's actually pretty simple because it's either just a single press, a double press, or a long press. It's very intuitive. Likewise, if you just want to trash a clip because you have no more use for it, or it's past the cut point of where you wanted to use the clip, you just highlight the clip that you want to get rid of and touch the trash logo. Very simple. So with all these things in mind, you can just proceed to edit as you normally would. After I made my rough cut of my visuals, I tried to incorporate music, and I had a little bit of trouble with that because Apple doesn't seem to recognize importing from your Files app on the iPad Pro. So what I ended up doing was uploading my music file to the Adobe Creative Cloud and importing through the Creative Cloud in the Rush app, which you can do, it's all incorporated. And that really solved the issue of trying to get extra assets into the editing software so that I could further continue the editing process. Color correction in Adobe Rush is a bit finicky because something that I do on pretty much every single editing project that I do is make adjustment layers. And I use kind of blanket color correction stuff, a lot of Rec 709 stuff for log footage, sharpness and contrast adjustments that I'll make. I'll put all those in an adjustment layer and then adjust my individual clips accordingly. It just speeds up my workflow a lot. Rush doesn't allow you to do that. You pretty much have to edit one clip at a time with regards to color. So what I ended up doing was editing my first clip, and then because I knew I didn't change the settings in my phone when I was shooting the content, I made a preset based on that individual clip and then use that as a preset on the rest of my content that was in the timeline. And that was how I ended up doing all the color correction pretty quickly. The exporting process of this is actually probably the most simple and straightforward part of the entire Adobe Rush ecosystem, because basically once you're done, you click share, and then it asks you to look at your resolution. You choose the one that you think is appropriate for your timeline, and then you just click go. Basically, it just does its own thing. And you can even share directly to various different social media applications. I did notice though that when I exported the video and looked at it on the iPad and then looked at it next to the one that I edited in Premiere Pro, the one that came out of Adobe Rush was a lot lower in quality. And I think that comes down to two different things. One, for some reason, I didn't have an option to export in 4K despite the fact that it was all shot in 4K 24p. And two, I think that Rush has all of their export settings optimized for social media distribution, not high quality exports. There were a lot of things like blocky and splotchy artifacts and even some aliasing and a little bit of moire that I could see in the actual image, which was kind of a letdown, but at the same time, I sort of get it. I say that with a huge caveat in mind, which is I understand that Rush is not made for super intense editing. Rush is its own thing. It's made for really quick turnarounds for social media content and social media distribution. That's how it makes sense. It's perfect for that. If you just keep that in mind before you start an Adobe Rush project, then you'll be set because you're not going to be disappointed in the quality of imagery or the limited features in the editing software because you don't expect it to be there in the first place. Why should you use Rush? Well, for one, it's a quick, easy, and seamless workflow between using a phone and using an iPad. Yes, it does have limited effects and features, but the features that it does have are going to be used constantly. So they've really streamlined the workflow and streamlined the features that you want to use inside of the service, and the services that they offer make a lot of sense. Doesn't have great export settings, but they seem to be okay considering the fact that it's going to social media almost exclusively. I can see this service being utilized a lot for like really short turnaround projects, awesome montages that you can throw up on Instagram and Twitter. If you really need to produce a project very quickly, I can see you being able to shoot and edit an entire like 30-second to 1-minute video inside of a lunch break with this kind of service. Anyways, that wraps up this 2-part video series on shooting and editing on mobile devices. I hope that you enjoyed this. I really hope that you found value in this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you make shooting with your phone and editing with your iPad. And that's pretty much it. I will see you next week. Peace.